Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into some really powerful ideas from the work Life is a Circus. We're going to be exploring that critical space between the life we imagine for ourselves and the one we actually end up creating. Let's just start with this thought for a second. Really let it sink in. How many of our own dreams, our own big ideas, have just quietly been pushed to the side by the simple rhythm of our day-to-day lives until one day we realize they're not even there anymore? And that leads us right into our first big idea, the unattended dream. This is all about what happens in that gap between having a vision and actually making it real. It's the space where so many incredible ideas, they just quietly vanish. And here's the thing, letting a dream go isn't just a passive thing that happens to us. It's described here as a real loss, and one that we kind of do to ourselves. You see, without that focused desire to push forward, our future stops being something we design, and it just becomes a product of default. So what's stopping us? Well, that brings us to one of the biggest hurdles of all, the cost of inaction. It's so subtle you barely notice it, but it's always there, in the background, just adding up, day after day. What's so powerful about this quote is that one word, invisible. Unrealized potential, it doesn't leave a scar. It doesn't send you an invoice in the mail. And because there's no immediate, obvious pain, it's just so easy to ignore the price we're paying. But believe me, that cost is real, and it's building up with every choice we don't make. And a huge part of that accumulating cost is all the missed opportunities. Now, these aren't always big, flashing signs telling you what to do. A lot of the time, they're fleeting. They're disguised as just another part of your day. They have these really narrow windows of time. Just being able to spot them is a skill, but actually acting on them, that's what keeps potential from just dissolving into thin air. Okay, so this idea goes even deeper. It's not just about what we fail to do on our own. It's also about these incredibly powerful systems, both outside of us and inside our own minds, that are constantly shaping our choices, a lot of the time without us even realizing it. Just look at this list. It shows you how much of our lives is influenced before we even make a so-called conscious choice. Society is built on these huge interlocking systems: media, business, education. Their job is to create norms, to create a kind of shared reality that makes all of us, more predictable. This isn't about paranoia, not at all. It's simply about awareness. But, as powerful as all those external forces are, the argument here is that the real challenge, the bigger one, is actually internal. It's how easily we can fall into self-deception. It's the stories we tell ourselves, the convenient truths we choose to believe. In the end, giving up on an accurate view of reality, that's a choice, even if it's one we make unconsciously. So, this is it. This is the question that really connects the problem to the solution. It's a moment for some real, honest reflection. Ask yourself, are you the architect of your life, or have you just been living in a house that was designed by other people and by random circumstance? Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we go from being a passive passenger to actually grabbing the steering wheel? Well, this next part is all about that transition. And it really all comes down to mastering the art of making conscious, deliberate choices. This is such a critical distinction. Our society is obsessed with being busy, right? We celebrate the hustle, as if just being in constant motion is the goal. But true achievement, real progress, that comes from the quality of what we do. It comes from careful planning, and sometimes it comes from being still enough to ignore all the noise and focus on what actually matters. And making these purposeful choices, it's not a one-and-done kind of thing. It takes a skill called adaptive intelligence. Really, all this means is being flexible enough to change your approach as things change around you. True wisdom isn't about making one single perfect decision and then clinging to it forever. It's about paying attention and being willing to adjust your course when reality tells you to. All right, so this brings us to our final section. We've talked about the unattended dream, the hidden costs of doing nothing, and the art of choice. So now let's get practical. Let's look at the actual steps for turning that internal vision into an external reality. Here it is. This is the roadmap. First, you have to get crystal clear on what you actually want. Then, you have to build a bridge from that dream to reality with a real, concrete plan. And number 3 is so important. You have to take the first step today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. And finally, you have to sustain it. You have to keep showing up with consistent focus and energy, because a half-hearted intention, it's never going to produce a major result. And I really want to leave you with this final thought because it just wraps everything up so perfectly.
Who you're going to be tomorrow isn't some accident. It is the direct result of the choices you're making, the things you're focusing on, and the effort you're putting in today. You are actively, constantly building yourself with every single decision. This entire journey we've been on, from the unattended dream all the way to the art of becoming, is rooted in the compelling ideas presented in the work, Life is a Circus. Thanks so much for joining me in this reflection.